I have a question for you. If you could go back in time to one day in your life and relive one single moment, what would it be?
I want this to be documented while I'm still with it, while I can still talk to him for myself. I love my life and my kids too much for this. I don't want to go home to them. February 2021, I had my second Moderna shot. 36 hours afterwards, nausea, vomiting, and the days after that, worsening or shortness of breath. 5 days exactly after my Moderna shot, hospitalized for respiratory failure, and exactly 1 week later, placed on the ventilator. During this first hospital stay from February to March, I was placed on and off the vent 3 different times, would get better, and then cycle back to needing the support of a ventilator to breathe. After being life-flighted to a larger hospital, I slowly started to improve and came off the vent and was able to go home in March 2021, but this was only the beginning of a medical roller coaster ride. After 3 days of being home, I was life-flighted again to a larger hospital where I was admitted for blood clots, placed on blood thinners, and treated for respiratory symptoms. During this hospital stay, I did celebrate my birthday, which was a high moment, and I thought things were looking up as I was able to go home. But once again, this was short-lived as I started to get sick, having nausea, vomiting, and abdominal distension. Then I started having bleeding and had a fall, and for a 4th time I had to be life-flighted to a larger hospital and had an EGD and a colonoscopy to find a GI bleed and back on the vent for the 4th time afterwards. During this 4th intubation, they determined I was having vocal cord dysfunction and may be causing some of the respiratory issues. I got to the point where they were able to send me home, but started to develop more issues like tongue gesticulation, hair loss. During March and April, started to have fluctuations in my heart rate and blood pressure, going from one extreme to the other, as well as swelling and continued abdominal distension. Breathing continued to worsen, which led to another hospitalization and the 4th life flight, and ended up on the vent for the 5th time.
I just feel like I want to break down. But I know I've got kiddos at home. I know I've got a fiance that loves me. So I'm going to work my butt off and do whatever is physically possibly inside of me to get back to the life of somewhat normal. Because that's all I can do until I know exactly what is possible. with whatever's going on that's causing this.
Medical problems that occurred after my vaccine 19 months ago. This is one of the ones that started to occur. My throat would close off and I would have laryngospasms. They can't find a diagnosis. But the only thing that started all this cascade of problems and multiple systems to go wrong started a couple days after my second vaccine. Because I have laryngospasms, even though they don't occur all the time, they happen randomly, and when they happen, I can't get any air up. This is only after it's loosened up some. So if I didn't have the trach, I wouldn't be able to breathe.
In March 2022, I had decided I had enough of the traditional medical system and started to seek out more doctors with a different approach, more knowledge on vaccine injury. I became a patient of Dr. Pierre Corey's, and I continued on the COVID vaccine protocol and continued to get better at this point, trying alternative treatments. April through July of 2022, things started to really improve. This gave me a new purpose, a new mission. Not only was I fighting for a voice myself, but I wanted to fight for awareness and the voice of so many others that have been silenced after vaccine injury.
This small town girl from rural Tennessee is not giving up. I will not be silenced. I will not be ignored. I will not comply. I will not back down. From Los Angeles, California to Washington, D.C., hear my story and hear our plea.
I was not rare. I was one of thousands of people affected, and my story was not going to end here. I was determined together we would not be silenced, and we would be a voice they was having more respiratory issues and had multiple stints of pneumonia that led to sepsis and ended up back in the hospital multiple times. During this time, I was also having more urinary issues, in which they implanted a suprapubic catheter in my abdomen to help drain any kind of urinary retention. I had an NG tube placed as I was having more food intolerance due to gastroparesis symptoms. I developed more weakness and regressed back from walking with a crutch to having to use my wheelchair most of the time. In hopes of helping regain normal urinary function, they implanted a bladder inner stem device, which has helped some. However, I continue to have the suprapubic catheter to drain what I retain. They have also progressed from an NG tube to now placed a PEG tube, which is a G tube, where I receive my feedings for nutritional support. Despite the ups and downs, I continue to speak out for myself and for all the others who have been silenced, that have lost loved ones and been injured to this vaccine.
The hospital, and exactly a week later was on the ventilator for the first time.
In hopes that maybe we can find support and resources to find the help and treatment that we need. Please share my story and don't be afraid to speak up and have your voice heard. You are not alone. To my story.